to it. Kramer has been so clean on Xayah that SKT having a plan against that particular pick, I think is actually going to be really important for them.
Well, the Camille's going to be banned away here by Afreeca after the Braum, so they're making sure that they're getting rid of some crazy picks, and also getting rid of the Braum means that SKT is not going to be able to go full Samsung on them and pick that Sejuani Braum combination.
And now Kalista and Xayah are the two big AD carries to consider. Both of these players play both of them. Xayah, the higher priority for Afreeca recently. Really interesting. They banned Caitlyn, just going with what's strong on patch 7.13. Final ban here could be a lot of things. Rek'Sai, Galio, either of the AD carries. It seems they're happy to trade them. Afreeca, will they just continue the recent trend of prioritizing Kalista, or will they look to the Rek'Sai? Spirit hasn't played Rek'Sai this season, so they're just going to go with Kalista, but Xayah is open for SKT.
And there's still a lot of junglers left available as well. I mean, namely, you're looking at Lee Sin and Gragas, both champions that Peanut and Spirit more than happy to play, but Spirit very happy to hop on that Gragas or the Lee Sin, so there's no real priority there, so that makes a lot of sense.
And Gragas also a true flex pick for Afreeca, who still play top lane Gragas for MaRin. Usually there is a lot of top lane focus in bans on MaRin when SKT and Afreeca play. Because of the nature of the draft right now, where you have auto bans, there will be no ban onto top lane, at least in the first round, and that means, for example, his Rumble is available. If he wants to select it, would be an early selection on Rumble, but they go with it anyway.
Wow, yeah.
It is one of the champions that Huni has won, only champion Huni's won multiple games on, and MaRin is perhaps the greatest Rumble player of all time. So it makes sense to some degree to lock it in, and it does mean Kalista Rakan as a duo can be taken as well.
And it feels like Afreeca, their game one dominance has started off in the draft as, wow, okay, Tusin's just going to step away from the Rakan and go straight to the Alistar. So we might be seeing those big old heals in the league.
And now you get the sick duo and the Kali Star coming through because these guys can do some sick wombo when it comes to engage. Does mean that Alistar for once can kind of be brazen with his initiation or just hold on to the headbutt for only displacement because he can just go in with the Fate's Call and then a Pulverize. And okay, SKT will be running Kog'Maw in this particular series. So they see the Kalista, they respond with Kog'Maw. Interviews with Mada have said that these, in his estimation, these are the two top AD carries, and they have such different identities, right? Kalista, all about 1 to 2 items. Kog'Maw scaling into the late game, and definitely being a menace in doing so. So already we're expecting pretty different identities between Afreeca and SKT in the draft.
Well, we can see the top lane is where Afreeca are now going to focus as MaRin wants to get rid of the good matchups into the Rumble. And we're looking at top lane and jungle being picked up by SKT, and mid lane and jungle picked up for Afreeca. So it's interesting that we're not seeing the jungle pool pinched, but it does make some sense because you don't want to get rid of everything that you can play at the same time as your opponent.
They have the option to ban champions against Taliyah, which was their very early mid lane blind pick. Seems like they're happy enough to take the Corki into Taliyah matchup because they banned Kassadin, who with lane pressure can certainly do well. We saw Faker do well in lane, and Samsung on that particular matchup, and the Karma just for the reliability, being able to follow around Faker with the teleport. Gragas jungle ban at Peanut.
I like the Gragas ban as well, sort of aiming it against the Kog'Maw composition as well. Get rid of some of the peel and disengage options that SKT will have. Of course, Lee Sin, once upon a time, was the poor man's Gragas that has now reached some parity as far as power level.
And it's also one of Peanut's famous champions, even if Blank has outperformed him on Lee Sin in summer season. Does provide the disengage that Gragas does, but a little bit less flexibility at how he does that. I feel like Gragas would have fit the comp cleaner, so like your point there, Atlas, I think it was a smart ban. Now we're waiting for Afreeca to round out their comp. Corki is the very obvious selection into the Taliyah mid lane, so we're only looking for the jungler, which they wait a long time for jungle. They could just take a tier list pick. That will be the Rek'Sai, who does well into the Lee Sin as well. But because Spirit has not played at all this season, it would be a bit of difference from him. Could argue something like the Olaf, one of his old favorites, could be considered just to run at the Kog'Maw and try to trivialize him from fights. But it's going to be a jungle Jarvan or a jungle Rumble. Spirit is actually a legacy jungle Rumble player, almost certainly to be the Jarvan, but there is a bit of ambiguity about this one.
That would be very exciting. And it also means that SKT, depending on what they pick towards the top side of the map, that's when Afreeca are going to make that decision. Okay, Shen is being considered, and Huni's going to lock that one away. So more shields for Bang's Kog'Maw. in the later stages of the game. They've got a heck of a lot of peel and a heck of a lot of CC to make sure that Bang can just be that artillery that we know the Kog'Maw can be. If Ghost is anything to go by, you cannot let SKT get to the late game with this composition. It will be terrifying. However, Afreeca have set themselves up to do Afreeca things in Game 1.
Good thing to note about SKT, with some of their recent drafts, they've been so over-focused on split push around top lane that they've given up wave clear in some games, like Game 1 against Samsung when they went for the Kassadin Fiora draft. This time they have reliable wave clear from the mid lane. They have the ability to impact the side lanes and buy some time. And a confirmation that it is Rumble jungle coming through from our producer. So in terms of lane, Shen can itemize very cleanly, but they actually do flex it up and go with the jungle Rumble. It's a big difference than you might have expected, but because he's played it a lot in solo queue, I thought there was a chance he would go for it. It's an interesting time to start.
I actually really love it as well, because one of the things that the Rumble semi-buffs and somewhat nerfs at the same time did was stopped his ability to shove waves out as quickly, but his harpoons do a lot of damage and get that big ol' slow. I'm excited to see how this is going to go running around the jungle for Spirit instead.
Now, there has been those big nerfs, though. I feel like Jungle Rumble got hurt a lot because of the extra cooldown on Flame Spitter. Could still get a hard leash and get to level 2 and be fine. Really interesting one, it always is, between Afreeca and SKT.
Very excited. The monkey wrench has been thrown into the works here of SKT, and we'll see how they pivot as we get onto Summoner's Rift for game number 1, Afreeca versus SKT. Oh, big cheers for SKT. But Afreeca fans still making some noise here as Kuro has to skill Valkyrie first.
There is a lot of people in the audience. I was told that the tickets for this particular match sold out in 15 seconds. Such was the popularity, sold out even faster than the SKT versus Samsung tickets.
Just incredible.
And people are rabid to see. And this is also because Afreeca does have a lot of those very famous legacy players. MaRin is one of the most popular players in the league. He's that older player. He's been around. He is a World Championship MVP of Worlds in 2015. Kuro also has his fans from the Rock Tigers, and Spirit also as another big-time profile player. So this is a match that people have wanted to see. So we get a couple of flexes. Very interesting to see an Afreeca game or a MaRin team where MaRin isn't on the Rumble. Just think about that.
Yeah, and also he could have been, but isn't, as the Pulverize is only going to land on a Wolf, but Ren damage. A potential. Pardon me. Bit of the hiccups probably to start this one off.
He's too excited, I understand.
I know. Well, Faker looking to try and steal some stuff away. Spirit body blocking with that one, but might die to these Raptors if he's not too careful.
He gets level 2, has to skill W, so we'll not have Harpoon, which got buffed also. Kuro's just standing in lane auto-attacking him.
Yeah, that was interesting. Faker just wanders past it. Don't mind me, sorry, sir. He will be able to push this wave out just fine with a threaded volley. And Peanut in vision, going to be moving over to start off.
Well, they knew that Spirit was DPS'd out. He actually takes the Blast Cone in anyway.
Yeah, actually wants to start this one off.
I think Spirit could be dead.
Yeah, does not want to be fighting this blue buff and flashes over the wall. Peanut's going to flash with him, and Kuro wants to try and get a follow-up kill. Will he be able to make this a 1-for-1? But Peanut should be able to make it out as Faker just stands there for the safeguard. And Spirit, we've seen this over-aggression from him before, but that was a silly move.
Yeah, I don't think it was a good read to just Blast Cone in when there was at least going to be the chance that there'll be a contest on his blue buff, and really played with fire for too long. With WQ, he was never going to be able to turn that around. And look at Peanut. He knows, because of the speed at which that Spirit went to his blue buff, that he could not have cleared red, and it might actually just be the red stolen away.
It is going to be taken as there's the control ward. Doesn't actually spot Peanut, but he's going to Blast Cone his way out. So successful invade mission. That's going to spell about 600 gold the lead here at 3 minutes into the game. And I know talking about 600 gold leads is not something you should necessarily be worried about, but at 3 minutes, that is massive, especially when it's coming from the jungle, and you're not going to expect Spirit to be able to get any meaningful ganks off for the next little while.
And red buff is more valuable than blue buff to a Rumble, especially, who gets no value out of cooldown reduction, and of course the mana regen on the blue, HP regen, and the gank power of the red. Definitely going to be preferable in terms of buffs, and I want to speak more about comps, but I don't have time. Faker's roaming top.
Yeah, he's ghosting towards the top lane as well, as MaRin is going to be in a lot of trouble very, very soon. Wants to flag and drag his way out. Remember, still has the flash as Kuro is going to move himself towards the top lane as well. And now it's just a face-off as MaRin throws down the shield.
Faker's out of map.
Yeah, and Kuro's tanking a lot of damage, so not going to go after that kill either. No more action.
So
check in the bottom lane.
A couple of seconds to talk about team comps. While they could flex Rumble into the jungle, that's why I mentioned it before the Jarvan was selected, the issue I see is, okay, MaRin's stunned. Faker didn't back.
No, hasn't finished the backing process just yet, as the flash does end up coming out. Kuro's had a lot of spare time in the mid lane, though, so it's good news for Afreeca.
Peanut is near the mid lane, so can at least take the experience, so at least that won't go to waste. But with the nurse towards Rumble, they do hurt his jungle speed a lot. Rumble's always been able to push in. Shen may not have an interrupt on the Stand United, but is able to push him in. The reason why I believe Afreeca has gone this way... Plus on a second again.
Yeah, Bang's going to get knocked up, but they've thrown the Ignite down onto Wolf.
He's
The fight forward, Kramer is going to help pick up the kill, but it's Tusin that grabs the credit. Probably not exactly what they wanted, but he was trampling everywhere, and you can't help that. As Bang still going to be standing here in the lane, but definitely a massive win for Afreeca bot side.
And this has been the good news story for Afreeca Freecs. If you remember, spring season, their biggest problem was that Kramer and Tusin, Kramer coming off a relegated CJ, and Tusin coming off retirement for a year, looked very poor in the 2v2, even though Kramer's KDA was often very good by the end of games. This season, their 2v2 laning has been a lot stronger, and that has helped them go toe-to-toe and actually just pick up a 2v2 kill. As well, it's time to gank MaRin a third time.
Yep, Peanut's even here as well.
He doesn't have Q for a while.
Clears out the minion wave. That's not going to be in range of the turret just yet. Faker's been waiting here a long time, but you can see Kuro's not even moving up here. They're going to use the teleport to try and get him over, and he gets the knock-up as well. Huni going down very, very low. Kuro is going to make his way through. Okay, Huni makes his way out. And Peanut not going to fall down. Tusin looking for the headbutt pole. Ward goes over, and that signals SKT to leave, but MaRin don't know how he survived that.
Yeah, SKT, when they have Peanut and Huni in the team, just seem to be more drawn towards aggressive turret dives. That time it was 3-on-1. The teleport was the thing that bailed them out, as more and more Corki mid laners have been opting into the teleport to relieve pressure in the late game. In this case, in the early game. A lot has already happened in this game. But just to finally finish the thought, MaRin said in an interview the reason why he likes top lane Jarvan, and it's a very simple reason, is his ability to tie up back lane, no escape carries like Orianna, for example. And we saw MaRin assassinating Orianna multiple times in the Afreeca versus Rock series, getting more damage onto the Jarvan than a jungle Jarvan will be able to do. So his job, in his eyes, is to kill one of the Taliyah or Kog'Maw instantly in a team fight, because they believe that he can do that, and he's shown it before. But the end result is we don't have MaRin on Rumble, and we also have a pretty slow jungle time, and of course, lower jungle pressure from the jungle Rumble as well.
Well, we'll see whether the Runic Echoes is going to give Spirit a little bit more of that speed as well. At the moment, at least killed as many monsters as Peanut, but we don't know which monsters they were. And Peanut does have the level advantage at the moment. Big one right into Faker. Nicely done. Kuro hitting level 6, so having a little bit more pressure here in this lane. Oh, sitting on a Sapphire Crystal, though. That's pretty bad.
Working towards parts of his Trinity Force. Afreeca will be all about timing, so a lot of timing-based comps recently, which makes sense when you have Trinity Force carries in the mid lane. It's all going to be about the 1-item power spike on Kuro and the 2-item power spike on Kramer for turret pressure, and also the team fighting power of the Kalista. Late game, SKT have perhaps the best kite back comp you could ever hope for with the Shen, as once again we go in on the Thresh.
Yeah, Death Sentence is actually not going to find the mark there, as Wolf does get stunned. Another Ignite going to go down onto the Thresh, and they just want to make sure that he doesn't have the health bar to start any of these engagements, even if Peanut's present.
Equalizer available for Spirit.
And they just need a headbutt pole to try and make this one happen as well.
Fate's Call up as well, so considering the wombo, Spirit's still going to walk around, get at least some vision on the blue buff.
Good Spidey sense from Wolf, does throw down that control ward as Tusin, remember, he's got the Unbreakable Will. There's the Equalizer coming in, and Wolf has to walk all the way up, but will they be able to get the kill? And they do it before Huni makes his way in, but yeah, that's the follow-up kill. Nicely done by Bang as Tusin. He has to flash his way out as Faker is going to be eating some honey fruit, but Tusin is going to steal a bunch of them away. MaRin is moving his way down. Spirit's made his way in, but Peanut grabs the kill, kicks back Kuro, who uses the Valkyrie to get himself out and helps get the kill onto Peanut in response. And MaRin looking for more onto Pugmore. Oh, he's so adorable, but he does have the flash, and he's going to use it to get out.
And MaRin still had Cataclysm available. That's why he went in, blows the flash. Really extended fight. They just about burned through the health bar in bot lane before the teleport could complete on the Stand United. And Summoner Spell Teleport was disconnected from the side of Huni. MaRin walked all the way from top lane to make that happen. Spirit gets greedy.
Yeah, the hook is going to land there as well. Spirit isn't going to be able to make his way out, and Wolf is going to be able to get the kill for himself. Huni, some spare time on the top side of the map as Kramer actually makes his way to clean that out. Right, the walk forward tactic, I like it.
It's awkward from Spirit. He thought there was no way there could be two members bot lane. Thought it would just be Bang without flash, but Moby Boots buy from Wolf means he's bot lane before Spirit respected he could be there. The end result is giving up another kill. And this jungle rumble certainly hasn't impressed so far.
No, not necessarily making things work, but at least was able to get a kill towards the bottom side as Kuro makes his way over, looking to try and grab the red buff, but unable to. Peanut's going to take that one away. Once again, just denied as all vision going down. Wolf looking for the death sentence, but package going to be used to get Kuro to safety.
Bit of spare time for Huni in all of this to try and catch up on CS. He had fallen quite far behind, only now starting to get back competitive with MaRin.
Speaking of MaRin, he's on the bottom side of the map, now just backing himself away. So he should be able to get to this lane. Yeah, it's a bit of a MaRin thing. Early game, trying to get himself around the map. Well, certainly pivotal, and at least getting Bang's flash.
Wave clear for SKT. Mostly gated around Faker, but still a lot more reliable. The team comp from game 1, even game 2, Talia has the wave clear edge on a champion like Corki, who she's facing in this particular match, and Pugmore will hit the Hurricane eventually and have that as well. A game looking so smooth for SKT. Very much more an SKT-esque comp than what they were playing against Samsung, where there were stark weaknesses. For example, the wave clear that usually is balanced quite finely in normal SKT drafts.
And the thing that sort of got me as far as the draft against Samsung was concerned is that one-dimensional drafts are not something that SKT does. Oftentimes, they've got a lot of flexibility with how early games go. They can fall back on certain strategies. They don't piece themselves into, I can only split push with this composition. It has to be 1-3-1, or it has to be 1-4-1, or 1-4, or something like that. Often they can change things up if need be. This feels like one of those compositions.
See, Lee Sin is in the bot side, just backing now. Good lane ward through from Tusin, actually. To answer your, to comment on your point, SKT often has a strong read on the meta in terms of they have a confident read, they know what's good. And if you look at match histories, both Untara and Huni have been basically exclusively playing Jax. If you look at recent games, they played Jax, Fiora, and Camille as their top laners. It seems like SKT had the read that on 7-13, that was the way to play. A 4-1 or 1-3-1 comp was what they've been practicing. And this is definitely a slowdown on that read. They are going for the Shen. They are returning to comps that have worked better for them. And SKT, it's always about them scaling up during an international event, during Worlds. When they eventually get the read, they have the time to look at all the data and crunch it, then they're the best. So that's the change here, is they've made some adaptations in their draft today, and it no longer reflects the only Jax, Camille, Fiora approach they've been taking for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah. I like it a lot more as well. Hopefully this means that we've reached some further normalcy, but at the moment, Afreeca ahead by a couple hundred gold, and Peanut possibly out of position. A couple of harpoons there as well, does Spirit. Now with his Runic Echo, starting to do some damage, but that health total not very high. Still should be building towards Leandru's Torment, so we'll have a little bit of extra health on that.
Afreeca's comp really goes up a tune when they get an outer turret down, and so far I've been frustrated trying to make that happen. It's why MaRin's been so ready to visit the bot lane, was to try to break the turret, and even coming top lane with your Kalista Alistar as an option to try to take a turret. From there, you can have Corki with his soon-to-come Trinity Force, force things across the map, and there's only so much wave clear a no-Tiamat Shen can do. But for now, that hasn't been relevant. We're still playing in short lanes, and SKT are trading farm with a Cogmore comp, which is the dream, basically, every time you drop.
Well, Fate's Call comes down in the mid lane as there's Tusin. Oh, the pole flash, not quite finding it. They do get the flash out of Faker, but he still has the Ghost. That was aggressive.
They had a read that his flash was down, would have been more likely to succeed. But trading flash with a mid laner, and specifically Faker, is not a bad thing. It's just another time that Afreeca have gone for an early game play with an early game team. It's Kuro. Oh!
It's a uncharacteristic miss of the Q.
Yeah, Spring Peanut wouldn't have missed that one.
Well, Wolf is going to be spotted here as well as in comes Tusin with his pajamas, ready to make something happen. Headbutt pole there on
collapse
the wall
here.
as Spirit throws down the harpoons. Flame Spirit is there, doesn't want to use the flash to get over that wall. And everyone on SKT is going to scatter. 4 members of Afreeca Freecs here in the mid lane wanting to try and get some damage onto this turret, but bang, he's going to move up and MaRin has to flag and drag his way out. Peanut over the side, gets the kick, and there's the Weavers while actually saving MaRin. Equalizer in a great position from Spirit as Bang should fall down. Tusin grabs that with the Ignite as Peanut trying to make something happen, but the Cataclysm, lots of damage onto the Lee Sin, and Afreeca Freecs pressure SKT out and kill the Cogmore.
Yeah, second time actually that in a scenario like that, Afreeca Freecs trade up. Kalista wasn't grouped, took a long time to get to the fight, never even got there, but the target selection was super good. The second time they DPS down a carry during the Stand United, so they never get the 5v4 outnumber that they were setting up for, and Afreeca keep looking fine, keeping competitive with SKT, even though SKT's made some good adjustments from earlier this week.
Yeah. So we can sing their praises, but this is Afreeca Freecs in game number 1. We have to remember there is some strange buff that we can't really quantify that just exists when they're playing the first time of any match. And there's the flash from Spirit. He's just going to burn down. Easy kill onto Faker.
Can't really have a kick of life from Peanut, and then also an overextension by Faker without flash at the same time. And this is what we said about Huni's overextension in their series 2 days ago. These are not trademark SKT moves. And Afreeca Freecs can only say thank you very much. And remember, it's Trinity-Force Corki. You better get some people here to relieve pressure, otherwise this turret's going to go down pretty fast.
And he's got the package as well. He's so safe if he wants to get damage on this turret. Another Sheen proc onto Huni, but thankfully it's pretty tanky. A couple of Ruby Crystals and a Ninja Tabi is going to help him out, tanking up some of the damage from Kuro.
Build path from the jungle for Rumble in the jungle. If you haven't seen it recently, it's pretty obvious. You just go for the Liandry second after the Runic Echo and build pretty much standard Rumble from there. It's almost like you get Luden's Echo on your build paths. You feel good about that.
Yep, it's just Luden's Echo plus B Rumble and pick up all of the other items. Probably going to see something like the Zhonya's Hourglass come out next.
And not often are you able to field Rumble Jarvan. That used to be a big duo, right? Having the Cataclysm into the obvious Equalizer placement.
Yeah. Now you've got the full X marks the spot type situation as well with the package coming out as well from Kuro. The ground could most certainly be lava this game. And you might not be even able to get out of the ground. You know, it's like we're going to create a volcano. The Cataclysm will actually be the science experiment volcano.
Will it be a science experiment gone wrong, or will it be science like the Yasuo was earlier this week? Faker was almost 2 levels behind Corki. He's now 1.5 levels behind, which lets you know the big punishment he's taken from losing minion waves to the turret multiple times from his roams. We saw it earlier when Kuro had free time in mid, then he died and just exacerbated the problem.
Yeah, it's going to be Rift Herald, and a lot of that has to do with exactly what you're talking about here. Faker not necessarily having the shove that a lot of Talias are able to. You saw him actually picking up that wave underneath the turret, which is almost unheard of when it comes to this matchup, where at this point in the game, can certainly still be shoving in the Corki. He's only just got his Trinity-Force spike.
I mean, the problem there is vision, right? There's 2 control wards for Corki on his right side and a control ward on the left side. There was no offensive vision at all for Faker around mid, so he kind of had to give up pressure. He couldn't afford to shove in too aggressively, and that's why they keep losing out on turret HP.
Well, seismic shove onto MaRin, but doesn't take a lot of damage. Thankfully gets himself out of the way, holds onto his flash there as well, as SKT forced to send so many resources here into the mid lane just to make sure that that tower doesn't go down. They don't want to lose control because, like you say, don't want to lose map control against a composition like this that can jump all over you if given the space.
Yeah, to be clear, multiple people need to rotate through mid lane to stop Kuro taking the turret for free, because when there's that much many control wards around the mid lane, Faker can't push up without just dying or accepting that his fate could be death in the imminent future.
Yeah. It's a frightening game for an SKT fan. Even though it's only 1.2 thousand gold, it just feels like Afreeca know what they need to do with this composition. Have had the answers so far. Mountain Drake, the first dragon of the game, hasn't been looked at by any of these players thus far.
Vision finally starting to equalize, so the call to put down the control wards and bring in Wolf to sweep has happened. No longer can Kuro play as brazenly as he was for the last 5 minutes.
And as we sort of look at where everything's shaken up, what's happened really is that, yes, Shen's had some time on his own. Okay, Kuro's going to take some damage there in the mid lane, trying to get me off my point, but the massive benefactor here is Kramer. He's 40 CS up over this Kog'Maw, who's now finally able to clear out half a minion wave, but means that they will be able to get this Mountain Drake. And Kramer has a lot of sticks in it, so that is going to be rent for 1,000 damage, all too easily secured. He's going to go back down and continue dominating this lane. He'll be able to go back next time and grab that Runaan's Hurricane. And Kramer, a player that we've been talking about as really stepping up here for the Afreeca Freecs, is most certainly making himself look good here this game.
And Kalista makes Alistar look like a meta support or a strong laner, which he certainly isn't at present, but he makes them so much stronger. As okay, going to chase on Huni.
Yeah, Huni's taking so much damage. Easy flash comes out there as MaRin does have the flag and drag still available, gets underneath the turret, a place where he really likes to be, but he's taking a lot of damage. The kickback, the turret did about 1 billion damage to him as well. So Huni, sort of more like getting an assist, but it's going to be Peanut that picks up the kill, so he definitely did. Spirit, fancy footwork gets him out of the way of the shove, but not the death sentence, and he's going to go down. 2 quick kills for SKT, and they've got themselves right back in it.
Yeah, signs of life from SKT. Top lane MaRin made an unnecessary mistake, unforced mistake, as I like to talk about it, turret diving a Shen for really no reason, with no vision on that side of the map, and then mid lane well chased down. Spirit was about 5 seconds away from having flashback up. You see also, there will be an objective picked up by SKT as well. And with the Kog'Maw comp, remember, we still are fans of the scaling from SKT. They bring back the gold lead that Afreeca was starting to grow.
Yeah, and it's now back to about 300. Thankfully, as far as spikes in damage are concerned, Kramer's hit his, and Wolf is going to bear the brunt of that. Now Bang has to deal with Kramer, but Living Artillery is going to stop him, and Kuro has to get healed by Kramer. There's the headbutt. Oh, right back onto the Talia. Thankfully, Flash Pulve means that you can still displace. And yeah, we talk about Alistar or Rakan. What about Alistar or Lee Sin? That was basically a Lee Sin kick.
And 3 times now, the Shen ultimate has been focused through, and Shen has not been able to complete his teleport and get in. This time, it could even lead to Baron. Now, Peanut is able to steal. He's made some heroic steals. Alistar needs to be the one to interrupt. Well, MaRin's there as well.
Yeah, MaRin's pretty angry. Sonic Wave is going to be used to get Peanut to the Krug camp, and that is a very easy Baron. And the Rift Herald is able to take down the mid lane turret. We were talking about these momentum shifts and swings. SKT gets a couple of kills, but then Afreeca start a team fight and take a Baron off it.
And this is the seesaw we were hoping for. We knew this could be a bloody game, an exciting game. There's a lot of feeling between these players. But so far, the Shen ultimates would have really not been working for SKT. If you don't use them on point or early enough, you always get that weird scenario where you want to use it late to get the biggest shield strength, but you use it early and you're burned down, as we've seen 3 times out of 3. Shen doesn't get there. It's a 5v4, and they have enough damage to take down SKT. And like I was saying, Kalista empowers Alistar to allow him to play as aggressively as he wants. In normal lanes, Atlas, Alistar can't walk up because he can just be turned on as a melee champion and die. But when you have Fate's Call, you can step up and you get the full power out of the Alistar.
Well, as a weave as well, Spirit actually caught out, but does have the speed up.
Oh, that's equalizer territory.
Yeah, this is really, really scary. They're walking up potential red carpet areas, but thankfully it's not the premiere of something real fancy, Papa Smithy, so we're not going to be able to shove that one down just yet. MaRin is going to be able to grab a turret.
Wouldn't be the premiere of Afreeca Game 1 either. SKT have looked better, but still made some critical mistakes in this game, and that's why they find themselves behind. Baron buff turning into a really big Baron buff power play. We were down to 1,000 just a moment ago. It's 6,000 out of nowhere.
Yeah, and now we've also got the mid lane. A lot of pressure now on this turret, and they haven't stopped pushing this bottom lane. Inhibitor turret now potentially under fire, but thankfully Faker does have enough damage to get rid of this. But Kuro
just hard tanking it.
Yeah.
This is silly.
Yeah, fortification is going to help out there. So living artillery would almost kill Kuro here.
Another item or two onto the Kog'Maw, and perhaps Freeca need to drop back. No reason to be overextended now. Stand United only now coming off cooldown. Wasn't available during that passage.
Yeah, well, third item spike comes in for Kuro. If you include the Sorcerer's Shoes as being one of those, Rapid Fire Cannon now done. So he'll be able to take pot shots at the turret a little bit more easily now as it gets energized. But you were talking about that gold lead, close to 6,000. And we've got 3 items on Kramer. Look at Kramer for where Freecs are going to have this power, because he's 50 CS up, as is Phantom Dancer now as well.
I can't really take my eyes off Tusin, who's been excellent on the Alistar in this game. The vintage Gorilla-esque performance from him. And again, the Kalista is the standing point. Kalista Rakan. Suddenly Rakan is safer. Doesn't need to use as many dashes to get into the fight. Can get the maximum CC duration out of the Grand Entrance. Alistar, in most lanes, has to be super defensive. When he's getting pushed in, useless. With Kalista, once again, super powerful. And when you draft Kog'Maw, already Alistar gets an easier lane. Kalista already a strong laner early. You're allowing the support to come through and engage supports. Here we go.
Yep, Phase Call comes in. Doesn't get the knock-up on Huni, though. Takes the Dark Passage out. Fortification now going to be set up here on this turret. But doesn't look to be enough, as it's still taking a lot of damage. Minions are going to turn up, and that's going to spell the end.
And nothing else is happening on the map. This is not the sort of game where SKT are making other plays. Enoch walks up to MaRin, but it's only a love tap.
Yeah, and they've got so much vision. They know that there's no flank coming out of SKT, so MaRin not scared at all. Doesn't even flag and drag his way out.
There really isn't flank options for SKT. It's not a flank comp. It's a kite back comp that's supposed to have pressure in through the mid lane in the early game, make plays through the Weaver's Wall. This didn't happen, as there was Faker making plays on the map, but they just kind of coordinated all their efforts, Afreeca, through the mid lane, took the turret early. Now Spintalia pulling back and wave clearing. They've continued to have to surrender ground, which is what happens at the worst of a Kog'Maw comp, where you can't fight because you're waiting, you're waiting, you're waiting. Sometimes what you're waiting for never comes. What they're looking for is the 3 items onto the Kog'Maw. He's hit 2. And Afreeca has so much damage on this team comp that SKT really can't, in any sort of realistic terms, contest objectives.
Well, they certainly can't contest this particular dragon, as well as Kramer's going to lock that one down. And thankfully for Afreeca, it's Mountain into Infernal.
Into another Infernal.
Oh, into another Infernal.
We've had a triple Mountain and a triple Infernal day today.
Summoner's Rift really likes Afreeca Game 1. They really do. Because this is really setting them up to be able to do some great things. Gargoyle Stoneplate done for MaRin as well, who's just waiting to complete that Titanic Hydra. He'll be very tanky as he makes his way in, and I really like Gargoyle Stoneplate on Jarvan especially. Just because he's so sort of burst-oriented as even a tank towards the top side of the map. You just do all of your buttons, get your passive off, and then press Gargoyle Stoneplate. And then you're just a big body in the middle of a fight.
And if you feel like it, throw in a locket. Help your team out. Okay, Equalize just to zone them off the turret.
Yeah, sort of the pseudo Weaver's Wall option there, as Kuro's still doing a lot of damage to this turret. MaRin stopping Huni from making his way anywhere with a Stand United or anything. In fact, somehow loses him. That was an odd maneuver. He had a ward in that brush.
That was literally the same as if you're playing hide and go seek and someone's like, he's over there, he's right there, go right. And he's like, what about left?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Well, Freecs now setting up a death bush or something. Standing there in the brush anyway. Waiting to push out the mid lane, I would assume. Waiting for that minion wave bottom lane to move in as well. Currently milling about though just a little bit, waiting for this Baron to come up in another minute and a half. Blue buff will be there. Kuro should be able to lock that one down for himself. Still waiting on his Infinity Edge. But there's the 3 items for MaRin completed. Some more control wards in the back pocket of Tusin. So still setting themselves up. Kramer will have a red buff. Next fight, Afreeca certainly got themselves into a position to win.
And you can see from SKT, I always love to inspect the control ward line and work out what does it mean. Because usually it means, well, it's all on the right side toward the enemy blue buff. They want to contest blue. In this particular case, kind of all over the place. 1 in the base, just a spot, because of course before we were seeing a potential inhibitor turret take. 1 around Baron. They haven't really been able to move their vision, and they haven't backed enough as a team to still have replacement control wards. So for right now, a lot of the vision is incomplete from the side of SKT, and complete vision with a Kog'Maw is kind of what they're striving for, to try to lose the minimum while this Kog'Maw still continues to come online. Looks like Rageblade will be the next item for a 3-item spike on the side of the Kog'Maw. As this vision keeps dropping away, Have to get worried. Baron buff is spawning in 15 seconds, and they don't really have any true vision in the area.
And we're looking at Faker to try and get the Weaver's Wall in the right position to deny this Baron if they can. Wolf as well to get the right engage to get Bang. A good option as far as getting auto attacks down, creating a ruckus to let the Cogmore pop off.
Spirit's pretty far up. Peanut could potentially pick Spirit here.
Yeah, finds himself in the wrong place. Doesn't have the Zhonya's Hourglass, and he's just going to evaporate. Big pick onto the jungler, and once again, Spirit finds himself in the wrong position. 40 seconds on his death timer.
This could mean much more.
Yeah, Weaver's Wall is going to come in as Kuro's just looking to try and kill him. Stands United very early this time, which is definitely a good move. Flash going to be used. Huni, I believe, was going to miss that one. It's Fate's call. He's going to get Tusin into this fight and stops SKT from moving further forward. Tusin comes in. He actually wants to start this one as Faker goes down very, very low, but it's a really good taunt using the QSS from Kramer there to try and make sure it doesn't do too much. But Kuro's going to fall down. Tusin thankfully survives, but SKT should still be able to get more work done. And another hook from Wolf, who's just going nuts in the fight. Huni taking a lot of damage. Kramer's going to get kicked, has to use the flash, and now MaRin flashes his way out. No Sonic Wave going to connect, but such low health bars.
They want to take the Baron anyway. They thought if they fought them here, Afreeca, that would pull them off Baron. The answer is no. Bang is still pretty healthy. Afreeca going to stick around. I don't know if they can test with smart move. I know what they wanted to do, but SKT, they doggedly want the Baron.
Yeah, we've got wards here around the area. Teleport up from Kuro, but still 15 seconds on the death timer. Equalizer coming in there as Peanut's able to pick that one down, and MaRin flashing out of the way. Wolf not necessarily there as a damage threat. And there's the flash in. Faker will fall as now Wolf caught himself in a Cataclysm, and that's 2 picks for Afreeca Freecs. Can they get more done? Huni was thinking about the empowered recall.
Does he have
and the teleport now is coming in from Kuro. No package, but the Valkyrie's going to be there. Bang has to flash. Huni trying to get himself out, but I think the extra movement speed should be enough. There's the auto. And Peanut now in trouble. This could potentially be the ace as Kuro is on a mission inside the base of SKT.
Calm down. Okay, doesn't die. I was talking to Kuro. But look at what's happening. Afreeca have tracked in the recalls. No one could recall. No one is healthy. They break the base in 2 spots.
Make that almost 3, Papa Smithy, as MaRin didn't want to tank that turret. That's going to spell 2 inhibitors against the flow of play, honestly, because the Baron was taken by SKT. This was their time to restabilize, and anything but that has happened as a result.
And all the buffs bar 1 are gone. Only Peanut is wearing the buff, and because they can continue to chase down, the teleport from Corki looks like a masterstroke when he's able to corral and even kill the Shen of all people. They break the base in 3 spots. So much to talk about. Okay, the Baron force here. Afreeca, they keep fighting thinking that SKT won't take the Baron. They may be half surprised that they do. Thresh goes in, could have just been left to die. This could have been the end of it. But you see the flashes coming through, they catch another, and the teleport being up from Kuro, who is still dead at the start of this package. He lives. If he had the package, he could have knocked them back, and it could be everyone dying. No clean ace coming through. But the cleanup is here. And remember, when he's cleaning up, he's able to bring in the minion wave that was already pushed in. SKT couldn't push and take the Baron. They took an emergency Baron while the waves were against them. Afreeca right in the waves. They take 2 inhibitors at the cost of a Baron. They break the 3rd one. They take a 2nd Infernal. And now they have basically all the advantage they need to close the game.
Yep, 8,000 gold. Last inhibitor well and truly on the menu, but if we have a look down the items as well, Papa Smithy, the story does not get any better for SKT. Mortal Reminder already completed for Kramer. He just needs to finish his Mercurial Scimitar, and that's a 6-item Callista. Sonya's Hourglass now done for Spirit, which is fantastic because that guy's been overextending, needs all the seconds he can get in stasis. And even the redemption done for Tusin is on top of the locket. There is everything they need.
Rageblade just completed for Cogmore. He is a lot more powerful than he was last time they fought. I don't know if it's enough, but it's worth noting.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Keep our eyes on Bang to see whether he can actually do enough in these fights or whether the dive from Afreeca is going to be enough, because you can see even this poke is fantastic. Bang now able to turn things around. Wolf takes so much damage though as Peanut looking for the kick onto Kuro, does get it, but has he overextended as now Huni just being ignored by Kramer, and the Cogmore is dead. SKT just going to lose all of their members, and there's no more base remaining. Afreeca, the game 1 dream is still most definitely alive. 10,000 gold into the lead, and Faker, he just has to sit on his fountain and watch in horror as Afreeca tear down the base. It's a lot of losses in a row now, Papa Smithy.
Yeah, say what you want. Say what you want about best of one. 4 games in a row SKT have dropped ever since their loss to WE. Afreeca Freecs had to do it early to mid-game. That was the comp they chose, but then items never rolled in for the Kog'Maw. The game was close for a lot of it. We saw it become almost parity, but then Afreeca blew it open again. The Baron contest ended up being a masterstroke because of the teleport from the Corki and the fact that they took Baron against the flow of play. And another time in a row, Koma has to look at his notebook and wonder who should be starting next game and what do I need to change? Because on 7-13, they have not claimed a single game. And in a row, like we said, they are 0-4.
Yep, and you can see, look at the frustration on Coma's face there as well. Still, conversation from the room. It's not like they're out of ideas or anything on the side of SKT, but Afreeca Freecs, a very different experience. Big grin on Spirit's face, even if he didn't necessarily have the best early game that we've ever seen. Kuro looking happy there as well, and MaRin just sitting back in his chair, feeling like he's on the right side of the rift in this matchup today.
I mean, Afreeca fans were having heart palpitations every time the Rumble was caught, wondering why wasn't it MaRin playing the Rumble? I don't know how much the game would have changed if we had a jungle Jarvan. He falls a bit lower in the jungle, but we see it in other regions. The combination of champions as a whole worked very well against the Kog'Maw, who never got enough items to be able to shrug off damage. And in the end, good proactive stuff from Kuro in the mid lane. Every time Faker tried to roam, which was one of the big adjustments, he was punished, and there was a big leveled advantage for Kuro.
Yeah, most certainly was. I want to look towards that bottom side of the map there as well, because no Xayah for Kramer, but still able to make things work with the Kalista. Fantastic stuff from the Afreeca Freecs, but we are going to take a break. When we get back, SKT in a series, very different than a